I had no idea there was premiere music. I'm just reading the comments here. Welcome to Vlog Thursday, number 190, UniFi hosting for clients. And what I guess I'll have to go look at a premiere sometime. I didn't know there was music for it. It has its own theme song? I don't know. This is news to me. I am unaware of these things. Anyways, I have some NET gates in front of me because they're still on the table. I haven't plugged them back in since I did the video the other day because I'm doing some other testing at home right now. And yeah, I still like this thing, the SG2100. It's a little heavier than the 1100, but man, those mounting on the back like that just makes it nice. That video seemed to go well. I occasionally wonder why I don't know, wonder why I answer comments occasionally. I was going back and forth to people who said, what's the speed? And I'm like, I don't know. I literally covered it. I made a timestamp index discussing the speed. And, you know, I don't want to be a smartass all the time, but I like engaging with people. And sometimes it's hard. I never want to be that person, the graybeards of the world as we know them, who are in forums calling everyone noobs and names and, you know, complaining every time they ask a question. But if your question is, in the most literal sense, answered in a video, I don't understand why those questions are asked. That's why I'd actually tweeted today, why can't YouTube make it so people watch the video before commenting? That would cut down on a lot. And me and my other friends in YouTube have talked about this numerous times of just how few comments we would get if people watched the video because so many of the comments. I like the engaging people. The problem is there's a lot of noise for me to find and sift through noise to get to the more engaging comments. So, Thank you, William Daughtery, for the donation. By the way, anyone who wants to donate, man, thumbs up. So thanks for some happily needed beer money, Mr. William Daughtery. It is wonderful. I much appreciate it. But we're going to talk about UniFi hosting. So let's jump into that. I don't really have much to say about hot sauce today, but I guess I'll comment on the hot sauce that I did take a picture of. Where'd it go? I took a picture of it. Once again, I don't have any, but this stuff's pretty good. This is the I can't say that. It's good mustard-based hot sauce that's pretty spicy. That's what's actually on the cover photo, and the two NetGate devices are still sitting on the table from when I took their picture. But we're going to talk a little bit about the UniFi hosting. This seems to cause great confusion among people, and I thought I'd bring it up right away. Now, I'm working on right now is I did think to do it. I just didn't have time to do it because I published a video at 3:55 and I pressed live at 4. So in that 5 minutes, I turned everything on and set up and didn't have time to get this count. But I'm looking, and I'm pretty sure there's a way to do this. I'm going to look at the site's overview real quick to see if it tells me how many devices overall we're hosting on here, because I'm curious. No, it doesn't. I don't see a cumulative list. So that may be for another time that I dive deeper into that, but I can tell you there's like 58 sites on here that we're managing. So, yeah, it doesn't do totals at the bottom. Oh well, that'll be a different topic where I do that. Anyways, the bigger point is someone says, you know, how do you manage that for your clients? Well, one, we're going to do this for managed clients. A lot of times, and this goes, you know, I know some people are looking for the cookie cutter answer. You do it all the time this exact way. And there's companies that do everything absolutely cookie cutter all the time way. We're a little bit more flexible, a little bit more diverse, and it kind of varies with the client. So if the client is running UniFi, we don't force them to run UniFi. If their network is something we're managing, so it has to be UniFi, it has to be something we're managing. They're asking us to manage updates and things like that as part of their managed agreement. We can host their site in our controller and take care of it. One downside is, and exemptions to that, if the client is running captive portal, then we don't host it. And the reason why is because the captive portal runs on the UniFi controller. That means their captive portal will come out of their internet into our system, run captive portal, and then have to authenticate back. That obviously is not conducive for the way they usually want to do things. So generally speaking, those situations we're going to have a controller on site. But it's rare we have a captive portal. They're just not that. More people ask about them, home users, I should say, ask about them more so than businesses. Businesses ask about them, they implement them, and then hate them because all the users run up to their staff going, hey, I can't get my phone to sign in, and then they end up eliminating them, or even when corporate places put them in. But as far as tweaking the controller in that, even running that many sites, I will say, and we'll open up the stats because this is worth noting. Let me SSH into it real quick. So this is that system running with all those people on it. The load on this system is all of, on MongoDB, 0.14. Yeah, not much. So there's those files running. It is using 10 gigs of RAM. Now this is a change that has occurred over time where it uses a lot more memory on the server than it did before. And let's actually pull it up inside of here and look at the stats. So this is the UniFi controller. It's just a standalone VM that runs inside of XCP-ng that, yeah, it's currently running Debian 9. This will be upgraded later till then. It was last rebooted 16 days ago when I updated it. It doesn't really require much for reboots. It doesn't barely use any processor power. Matter of fact, let's look at it over like a week. There's a week's worth of it. So we pretty much sit at 1% and 2% processor usage. Network, yeah, not a lot going on here. So very little network and very little disk. And this is only because we have backups set up to run hourly. So the disk usage, you're kind of seeing the ups and downs in kilobytes, not even megabytes, kilobytes over the last month. Let's look at something more like the last 10 minutes. And it's, you get the idea. Very, very little. The little spikes you see in network, these are those auto backups that run. We do have it set up to automatically back up the data. And this saves you from backing up the VM. So we back up the VM when there's major changes, but for the most part, we just back up the data that it produces, and that is facilitated through UniFi to automatically back it up. And I've talked before about using tools like SyncThing to grab that file as it gets backed up and go drop it off somewhere else that gets replicated offsite. That way, every hour, all the changes that may have occurred have been backed up, and away we go. It's not too hard for the hosting. Now, as far as what do we do for some of the clients that do host it on site? Well, those people, they're either going to have a server there. There's one option. Rarely, but occasionally a cloud key. As long as it's a Gen 2, the Gen 1s are kind of and they're pretty old now, so they should be retired. But most of the time, they just have a server on site that will run it. If for some reason they don't want a cloud key or vice versa, sometimes they have the server and it's just faster and easier to run it there. Or they do have a cloud key already. Sometimes it's existing clients and we'll do it that way. But that kind of creates a pain in the butt for us to manage if we have it that way, because now we got to log in there as opposed to just jumping into our dashboard to push a change. So obviously we prefer whenever possible to have it hosted on ours, but then that comes at the cost that they should be paying for it. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. No, I don't drink while I'm live here at the shop. So I do say beer money, but don't drink live. So yes. Someone said one device. It's one server, I guess. One server, one UniFi controller running 58 sites. It just doesn't take much to run these, because the way the UniFis work, each one of the devices go through and talk to our server. It's pretty low bandwidth stuff. It's not a super high bandwidth callback that it makes to the main server. So UniFi is actually really efficient in that. So it does create a lot of connections going to us, but it's also not imperative. The other thing too, if the controller, for some reason we updated, it goes down, we're doing something here, the only thing that stops is our ability to provision changes to them. But as far as functional, it works. It doesn't stop their controller. So I need to do some updated videos, because the last ones I did on like getting started with UniFi were from such a long time ago. The controller looks much different. They've added a lot more features. So I was looking at it going, okay, it's time to kind of revisit and cover some of the new things that UniFi is doing. So those are some upcoming videos on there. Now, the other option we recommend to people who say things like, I don't want to buy a cloud key. Okay, you want to host it where? You want to host it in the cloud. And I have talked about building it in the cloud, no problem. But then you go, well, I don't want to update the cloud controller, and I don't want to deal with any of the problems that may arise from this because I don't know how to do anything from the command line. This is where HostiFi comes in. And I have a whole video that said where to host your UniFi controller. And one of the reasons I really like HostiFi is they just take care of all that for you. You outsource it, you pay them a fee, they take care of the database updates, they take care of the, issues that may arise from having all the controllers in there. That is why I plug HostiFi a lot, because people who go, I just want to set it and forget it. Well, you can't really forget it because you got to pay the bill. So as long as you set it, forget it, but put it on a bill, they'll just take care of it all behind the scenes so you can focus on other things. And this is what I recommend to people who say, like I said, if you are someone who comes at me with, I don't want to do any command line, I don't want to deal with any of the updates, I don't want to have to figure it out or troubleshoot anything like that. That's where they have a solution that's really solid, that keeps up to date and everything else. Because if you just start throwing servers out on the internet, not just the UniFi, but the base operating system, and you do nothing to update it, you just let it ride, you are likely to end up getting owned. You'll end up with a security update missing, or if you misconfigure the device itself, you're likely to have some trouble. So this is one of the reasons that I was like, well, if you don't want to have to deal with any of that planning, you just go ahead and get a server from HostiFi, and away they go. By the way, I have an affiliate link for HostiFi to get you a discount if you're interested and are interested in signing up with them. So it's, like I said, it's a pretty solid system, but as long as you do it. What distro do you run on your computer? Pop OS. Run UniFi on a Raspberry Pi. While it's possible, you run into memory limitations. I know they have the new Raspberry Pi with more memory in it, but if you have a lot of devices on there, you will run into some memory limitations. The Raspberry Pi for a small home probably works great. For anyone scaling up, not a good idea. You want to run it with a server that has a decent amount of memory. It doesn't take too much processor, but certainly takes a decent amount of memory to run. Let's see. Have you ever done an update to the UniFi controller? I've not seen the controller in UniFi cause the switch to drop packets, but if you reprovision a switch and change and add a VLAN, yeah, while it's reprovisioning VLANs, it may or may not drop some of the traffic. Ease of updates. Prefer the cloud key? Yeah, the cloud key is going to be easy to update too. That's one of the things. It's funny because people, they go, I don't want to spend, I'm right here, I have a cloud key Gen 2 sitting here. People say, well, I don't want to spend this much on a cloud key. Okay, you have to put it somewhere. So then they say Raspberry Pi, but then they end up with all the trouble with it. It really comes down to, is your time worth any money? That is a really relevant question with any of these decisions, especially from thinking from a business standpoint. What is your time worth? If your time has a high worth, then you didn't save anything. I run into this a lot where people just are willing to sink unlimited amounts of time, and that's fine. That means you've decided the value of your time is X, and therefore you'd rather do it yourself rather than pay someone. That's just a balancing act in life in general. Do I want to fix this plumbing problem myself, or do I want to pay an expert to fix it? And I generally go with to pay the expert to fix it when it comes to plumbing. But I don't when it comes to technology, because that's what I do. And if I spend time trying to figure out plumbing, I'll spend a lot of time on it and possibly make a mess. And I could be making money by fixing tech problems that I get paid to do. Yes, Riley is a good dude. HostiFi is a solid product. So what else do we have here? I'd run a UniFi controller and VM with multiple switch connections. Okay. So Ludwig loves my videos. Thank you. Let's see. What VoIP phone provider do you recommend? I've talked before about VoIP MS. We also have an offer code to sign up with VoIP MS, but we use them. They're not like some random affiliate flying by. They're the company we switched to before we had an affiliate link to them. I'm actually kind of picky about who I'll do affiliate links for. Just generally follow my ethics policy. I'm very particular. I won't talk about products I won't use. Like, I'm not going to, if I don't think it's a good product, I won't give you an affiliate link for it. I mean, well, the exception of Amazon. I'll give you an Amazon affiliate link because I don't care what you buy off Amazon, whether I like it or not. Sometimes people like something, whether I agree or not, doesn't really matter. And so use the Amazon affiliate link. But VoIP MS, awesome. I have a review coming up of VoIP MS. I've just been getting around to it. Everything keeps getting pushed down the line because I get busy doing everything else that I'm doing. I mentioned before, buy my house. Well, someone bought my house, so now that is one more thing that is, occupying time of sorting out and dealing with packing and getting everything ready while I do the move. And we're going to be rebuilding some tech there at the new house. I'll cover that in a video because, well, that's easy because it's my house. I can film there. But yeah, with changing the interface on, oh yeah, if you want to change on Pop! OS, it'd probably break things. So I don't know. People really get weird about changing that. That's awesome. That's a great thing about Linux. But I mean, I don't always understand why people want to change the desktop interface and then like desktop interfaces are great. Go ahead and start with a base of the one that usually has the one you want. So Linux distributions, I would say, are more picked on desktop interface than they are anything else. So you'll take Ubuntu and you'll take the spin of Ubuntu that has the desktop interface you want. Starting with Pop! OS, which is heavily embedded with GNOME, and switching out GNOME seems to negate all reasons for going to Pop! OS. Pop! OS is Ubuntu with some specific GNOME enhancements on there. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. So you'll probably have problems, but hey, if you want to do that, then awesome, have at it. Free PBX and Google Voice. Does that sound like a solution that still works? Not to my knowledge. To my knowledge, it doesn't work anymore. At least I've been told. I know it that one time. I don't think Google Voice provides SIP anymore. I could be wrong. Someone may find it, but I'm not. To my knowledge, Google that one. But yeah, Google Voice SIP. Let's see. Yeah, the link towards dead. So here's someone actually has a write-up on this. A final farewell to Google Voice. I can't vet this, but it looks like it's been... I thought it was killed. So, whatever. So, is this... I don't know. Maybe someone has some way to get it working. There was some bridging connector you could use. Novel, but yeah. Google Voice essentially kind of moved into Google Fi and killed off all the cool features that used to be Google Voice. I missed the original Google Voice. Don't get me wrong. I really liked it. But, yeah. Anyways, do you have a video how to get OpenVPN through picky firewalls? No, there's not really much you can do about getting OpenVPN through firewalls that do full traffic inspection and stop that type of traffic. There's not... if you want a full inspection firewall, which I'm getting ready to do another review on Untangle, an updated 2020 review of it. If you're doing full traffic inspection and filtering, you'll find temporary solutions. And those temporary solutions last until the firewall updates and figures out what you did temporarily. It's a cat and mouse game. That's why I don't even bother doing those type of videos, because they have a very short lifespan. The methodology I mentioned today will break tomorrow. For example, the easy way sounds like, hey, we can just wrap the OpenVPN in a TLS connection and put it over 443, and it looks like TLS traffic. Except if the particular filtering system, which a lot of them have updated to this, are looking at the SNI, well, they don't see an SNI. So then you go, okay, I'll spoof the SNI. Okay, well, they try to go to that site and see if that site is really there. Well, then they come up with the next method where the site gives one piece of data based on the type. You can see where I'm going with this. It gets convoluted, and it's a cat and mouse game of the VPN companies trying to get around things, and the firewalls that do full inspection breaking those things. So it's not much point in doing a video on it because it's irrelevant, and I don't have I also have to stand up the firewall to test to see if the methodology works. It becomes kind of a lost cause, I think. So I really got nothing for getting that around. Try, I don't know, just spend some time Googling and figure out what the latest thing that is that works and see if it works against whatever firewall is stopping you from doing it. Yeah. Are you using Google Hangouts with Google Fi on your PC? Kind of. The hangouts.google.com lets me call from my PC with Google Fi, so it's kind of Google Hangouts. It's, I don't know, it's whatever they have now. It's not, I want to call it Google Hangouts, but it's actually part of Google Fi. It lets me make phone calls and text people. I'm confused where Google's going with it. It still works. It's still the way I can log into this computer and dial from my Google Fi number with it. So I'm a big Google Fi fan. I've been using it for years. It works great. So no problems there. But, you know, I can't speak to the where they're going with the Hangouts. I do use it for now. But if you were to ask me what Google's roadmap is for it, your guess is as good as mine. Let's see. Yeah, S-Tunnel, that's one of them. It all depends on how good their firewall is, whether or not you use like an S-Tunnel will work for that. Like that's wrapping it all in what looks like a web traffic. You're disguising it as web traffic. It's not just port 443. You're actually wrapping in a similar layer, so it defeats some of the deep packet inspection. Because it's not that they can get the encryption, but they can just block it. And this is the problem with China and how they block it. They just block VPNs. So that's my little rant on VPNs. If I want to add CCTV, do you want to get the Synology with the GPU? That GPU only is for the object recognition function. I've still not done a video on that. That's on my to-do list, but yeah, that's... still something to think about in terms of... Anyways, got sidetracked. Sorry. Phone went off. Back to the next questions. Sorry, reading through stuff. Do you do client subs with free PBX, and what VoIP do you like? I answered that earlier. I guess you're a little late to the party, but yes, VoIP MS. VoIP MS combined with free PBX is awesome. That's an easy solution. Do you shut down your XCP-ng manually during a power outage? Yeah, generally speaking. I will, but occasionally, like before this one, I just flip the power button. It'll recover itself. I'm okay with that. I mean, it's better to shut it down that way, but I like testing things. So, have you worked with TNSR? Nope. On my to-do list, but not on my today list. I want to... TNSR is kind of a neat edge case, but not something I expect to start using for clients anytime soon. It's kind of an edge case because you'll use it for really high-speed cloud routing. That's awesome if you need really high-speed cloud routing. That's not particularly necessary in small business, even medium business. And until you get to the really big enterprise business, they may not have a need for it either. Do Cisco... I'm going to say no to Cisco phones working with free PBX in general. The older ones would. The newer ones, Google it. It's basically, even Chris from Crosstalk, he refuses to set up anyone's Cisco phones because they just don't work right. It's a workaround. It's very half-assed to even get a Cisco phone to work properly free PBX. They are the least compatible. Cisco phones work with Cisco IP equipment. They have the most trouble with non-Cisco equipment, free PBX included. So it's a maybe. It's a crapshoot. I don't have all the model numbers there, so... I mean, TNSR will be a client 10G border router, sure. If you have a client with 10 gigs, that's not your small business. They usually don't have 10 gigs. So, nope, we have no PSA integration with our free PBX. It hasn't been necessary. I mean, I guess it's cool if you want all the tickets to automatically send out. It's novel. We don't do it, though. I know some people like I think someone mentioned Twilio. Never used it, but they have API integrations. I think VoIP MS does too. So if you are looking for something with, I mean, sometimes that's the driving force for why you choose a PBX provider, because there's a plugin for whatever you're using for some other tool for the API integration. At that point, you don't really, you're choosing it not based on which one you like, you're choosing it based on which one integrates with the other tools you have. So yeah, Twilio is a popular plugin, and we've seen other people who, their business needs are going to be to integrate with this. It's the same reason, like, we had someone that had to switch from G Suite because their integration for their enterprise software is only with Office 365. So when they switched their enterprise software, they had to move to Office 365 because that was the only integration that was supported for that. TNSR for offload is really what I'm looking at. Then use TNFR for offload. So, I mean, if you have something that needs to scale, TNSR has that ability to route faster than, as a matter of fact, that's your bragging point. Not on these, but like a 5100, other Netgate hardware. Netgate has comparisons of how much faster, same hardware you get from Netgate, but how much faster that hardware can route with TNSR because it uses vector packet routing. So if you have a need to route at that speed, then that's where you go with TNSR. But I'm going to tell you, most of the home users don't have 10 gig connections at home. Most. I mean, there's someone out there, so I'm not saying no one does. Yeah. TNSR are going to be offered for lab use. I have no idea. TNSR is, I mean, at some point, if you're looking for lab use, just go VIOS. If you're looking for something fully free, I don't think they're going to make TNSR for free. That's not an option, to my knowledge. I don't know if they're ever going to have a free option. It's also all command line, no interface. That's why I said if you're looking for something like that, try VIOS as well. I don't know which one, I'm not doing any direct comparisons. I've not really used either one. I don't use TNSR, I don't use VIOS, but you gotta remember, both of them, 100% command line. There is no interface for them. So it's all writing rules from hand from the command line. So you have to be willing to do that. Do I think that many lab users are willing to do that? Doubt it. Maybe, but maybe some that are specifically going for like a network engineering career path, but not the average user. So it kind of depends on the user and what the use case is. If you are going to be a network engineer, awesome, learn that. If you're not, then it's just a hobby at that point. Okay, cool if they opened it up. You know more than me. It's not something I spend much time on. I don't, like I said, I'm not using it, so I don't spend time diving into it that much. Yeah, the VIOS ones are pretty neat. There's not too many videos on it. There's a couple. There's one person that covers some 10 gig stuff that did a video on it. Okay, so their lab lasts 6 months. Well, I mean, cool. I don't think, and there's weird, I don't, like I said, back to the YouTube comments, not sure why I debate with people. The comment that comes up a lot on when I do pfSense videos is pfSense isn't open source. I'm like, well, the source code's available. And the person's argument is, well, they don't feel open source. I'm like, I mean, if you wanted to argue about the TNSR thing, because it's not 100% just free for everyone to use, they give you all the technologies they're built with. They're charging you for the time to glue them all together. That's different than, I mean, they're still using open source. It's a different concept. And I've seen people say, well, that's because they're going in a different direction. No, they're just adding another product to their line. TNSR is another, like, answers the demand of people who want super high speed, fast cloud routing that you can't do with Netgate. They're filling a market gap, not abandoning a product. But people like to, yeah, that's just like a weird argument a lot of people have. pfSense is open source. Why would you say it's not open source, it's open core? You're one of those people that say it doesn't feel like it. Even though they published all the code and I can download it, it's not really open source because I don't know. I don't even know why I debate with people about that. They literally post the code. I don't know. I don't know. I can't really debate with people who. Everyone's got a nuance to it. Well, they gave away the source code, but well, they gave away a compiled binary too. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways. Can you run virtualized HA failover in pfSense? Yes, you can. I still don't really recommend virtualizing pfSense. I prefer hardware firewalls, but it'll make someone happy to virtualize it. It just adds another layer of troubleshooting. But on a good note, I mentioned this before, I believe, in the XCP-NG, and a feature that they have added now. And I'll show this real quick on the screen. They added this, the TX checksumming, and this is something you may want to turn off when you're virtualizing pfSense. Specifically, I'm talking about virtualizing pfSense inside of a Zen server, where you may want to turn this off because of compatibilities with the BSD drivers and the Zen drivers for them. But yeah, I mean, they realize it. I've done write-ups on this. There are write-ups, of course, from people over at XCP-NG on how to do this. So yes, there's plenty of documentation on how to do virtualization of pfSense. And then, well, setting up HA and CARP on it, that's easy. My HA and CARP videos, I believe my first video was done all in virtualization, not even in with real hardware. We did the first videos on it all virtually. They worked, and then we did another video on it showing that you can even do it with, I think I did it with an SG3100, because it's supported on any of them. You don't have to have even pfSense's hardware, but even their most basic hardware does support CARP and failover. So hardware offloading should be turned off for KVM as well. Okay, fair enough. Did Zen Orchestra take my advice and do that? Maybe. I mentioned it a couple times because, well, I think other people do too. There's just other things you need to turn it off for anytime you load a BSD-based operating system. So they just decided to add it as a checkbox. Seems pretty straightforward and simple. Will I do an LS swap on my bike? I don't know. Oh, I'm selling my motorcycle too because I got another one. So I'll talk about that towards the end. VLANs aren't a pain to get working. You just don't set them up the same way. You don't use the VLANs inside of pfSense. You create logical adapters in pfSense, and you create VLANs in XCP-NG. This is one of those things why I recommend hardware, for one, is just going to be, generally speaking, better. Also, if you're ever having problems with your virtualization stack, you can't get on the internet to Google those problems. You can't get to Stack Exchange and find the answer to the problem you're having because your virtualization stack is broke. That's my other reason. My final reason for not wanting to virtualize pfSense is even they're just not that expensive. And of course, someone also pointed out, they said, this is overpriced because I can buy used hardware that routes faster. I'm like, comparing a new piece of hardware to used hardware, apples and oranges, especially when they're talking about getting used stuff off eBay. Two, because it's so inexpensive to get used stuff off eBay, it doesn't seem like virtualizing your firewall is the best use of resources versus the amount of trouble. Other than for a lab. I mean, I keep my lab virtualized because I want to experiment, and it's the best way to experiment with it. But for my day-to-day usage, I need my internet up and running because sometimes my experiments go very, very wrong, and I need to be able to Google them. And if that experiment that went wrong included breaking some type of virtualization, well, I need to be able to Google it without my firewall being down. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, there's limitations to 8 VLANs. Most businesses don't have more than 8 VLANs. Only home users want more than 8 VLANs. That's what I've learned. But that is another challenge that comes with it. Is there there are other limits you hit. And I'll admit that me and some other enterprise level tech friends, we see more VLANs and home users than we do in the business world. Not that the business world shouldn't have more, but home users seem to try to segment every single thing and spend a lot of time doing it. Yeah, I mean, there's places that do have 1,000 plus. I'm not saying they're all that way, but you know, you even look at the scale and scope of NASA. When it turned out NASA had a flat network, that was actually kind of funny. Yeah, businesses usually just have a handful. There's like a native and a guest. I mean, even my friend who worked with several thousand endpoints at a hospital, not that many VLANs. And they had several thousand endpoints they were managing, plus a guest network on top of that. So, I don't know, it kind of varies with design and what you're trying to achieve. We helped some people set up some apartment complexes, and they wanted a VLAN for every apartment. So, within 80 apartments meant 80 VLANs. So, at some point, VLANs may not be the way to go. There may be other methodologies you want to do, but like I said, that goes into more one-off and esoteric network design than the usual run-of-the-mill stuff you're going to see on a day-to-day basis. So as someone with a flat network at home, what would you suggest for home apartment VLANs? Just put the IoT crap on one thing and put your computer on the other. That's really it. 2 is usually enough, but some people really want to break it down. Usually, and from a learning standpoint, it's probably better, because when you create more complicated networks, it is a lot more learning to do. So, did I run my own SFP speed test? Theirs is accurate, and I don't have a system set up to do iMix. I didn't bother. The SFP routes is the SFP routes. The little bit of testing I did, I found no issues with it. It seems to run the same speed whether I had it plugged in SFP or WAN. I didn't screenshot each one and do a bit-by-bit comparison, but my general testing has been fine with it. It's not really been an issue. Yeah, having a guest network at home, if you have people over your house, I don't have people over my house that have my Wi-Fi, so... So 1 gig work? No. And this is something I don't know. I even rewatched the video because I think 2 people commented that, well, will it route a gig? I literally covered that in a video. It's on NetGate's website. I talked about it being on NetGate's website. It doesn't do a gig. That's what I said. So I'm like, I said, you have to go something faster. I think I said it in the first 5 minutes of the video. And it's only a 10-minute video, so I've definitely covered it. It's covered on NetGate's site. And no, it doesn't do a gig. The SG2100 doesn't do a gig. I should make another video called The SG2100 Doesn't Do a Gig, where someone will then ask me, will the SG2100 do a gig? Because I think that's the first question that'll come up. So it's on their site. And I commented as well, when you look at the product comparison on the pfSense site. So when you're looking at their appliances, they actually update that. So when there's new versions of pfSense, they can re-update this if there is a driver enhancement that makes it faster. They've broke it all down. They've got right here, this one can do with the firewall rules enabled, iPerf traffic got 656, which is layer 3 forwarding, 480, 842. Less than a gig. I highlighted and did the same thing in the video. It's on there. It's not until you get to the 3100 that you can do that over a gig with some firewall rules. Now, someone did ask a valid question of what's layer 3 forwarding with or without firewall rules and with or without. Yeah, these are iMix versus iPerf. They have it explained down here as well, but they're talking about the different traffic types. Now, IMIX is going to be more realistic traffic. iPerf is a synthetic benchmark that Tom has used a lot to get the raw speed, but does not really tell you what the real-world speed will be of these devices, which gets even more convoluted trying to test the speed of real-world devices because, well, not everyone's running the same traffic. Netflix is a nice, simple, single stream. So will it route fast for Netflix? Yes. Torrenting is at the far end of that other side of lots of noise, lots of small packets coming back and forth, and torrenting is going to create a much higher load on your system because it's tracking a lot more states and a lot more rules, and lots of mixed traffic that has to go through things like, you know, if you add IDS to the mix, which, by the way, home users using IDS doesn't really do much. People get excited about it. I think I did a video called "What the IDS Systems Miss," and it's pretty much everything for home users. It's people seem to think it's a security blanket, and I'm like, it's really not. Beam clamps is sometimes what we'll use to mount the UniFi to trusses. I believe that's what we have them mounted with. I don't look. Corey does that, so I don't really know. It's a Corey question, not a me question. I don't mount anything. How's that? I pay someone that mounts things. 3-2-1 backup method. How do you make sure backups are intact? The backup software does it for me. Hopefully that's a better... Whatever backup software you're doing, hopefully it has integrity checking. That's how you verify. I mean, if you wrote your own, yeah, use checksums. But if you didn't write your own, then hopefully the people that wrote it a very effective one that will tell you how the backups are done. Yeah, just don't ask Tom about IPv6. I don't know anything about IPv6. I know I'm disappointed that I was unable to attend the, I think it was 11-year, or no, it's longer than that, 20-year anniversary of the talk called "This is the Year of IPv6." So, yeah. Nope, we can't do a tour of Corey's work truck. That's difficult. One day, maybe, but Tom's too old for IPv6. I was there when it started. I am jaded by all the years of it's the year of IPv6, and all those years have passed. I'm old enough to be jaded by IPv6, not to be too old to use IPv6. Backups, do them often, do them careful. That's good advice too. Untested backups are wishful thinking. What software am I using for 3-2-1 backups? That's not an easy answer because it depends on context of what am I backing up. But you're in luck. Go watch the video that I released only moments ago. And we'll flip to the screen here. Only moments, 3:55. I had pushed this disaster recovery planning video with XCP-ng. So if you're asking how do you do backups of your VMs with XCP-ng, I answered that question in that video. So hopefully that makes sense. And that was only published, like I said, minutes ago on my channel here. Actually refresh the page. See how many views it has in the first couple minutes that it's been released. And yep, it's got comments. 300 views and 1 commenter. Wait, did I snag the first comment? Nope. I'll just answer this person right away. Nope, because someone else will be first. The first comment thing doesn't work anymore because it doesn't order them by date anymore. By default, it orders them by some level of importance. But hey, whatever. People like to be the first commenter. Why not? I'm fine with that. Anyways, back over to the live stream commenters. Oh, I don't have a favorite IP class. I like them all. Any experience getting customers in ASN or IP? You just get it from the upstream provider. I mean, you're gonna have to. You have to fill out a justification for why you want a block of IPs. So if you want that, there's forms, there's paperwork. You get it from an upstream, provider and go from there. It's I don't. You get it. You contact whoever you're getting your internet from, and they'll walk you through that. Whatever commercial provider. It's not backed up till you restore it. Yeah, it's not backed up till you test it. Restore it would be another way, but testing the integrity, doing a restore, yes, that's important. Let's see. Favorite sim? Probably Security Onion. I've been playing with it for a while now. Security Onion is slick, but it's also, let me pull up this here. One thing about Security Onion is it's processor intensive. It certainly has a lot of CPU requirements to do that. Security Onion is probably the one I like. I don't know. Kind of depends what you're going for. I have no idea how to get Netgate products in India. Got nothing on that. How about OpenSense? Nope, not likely to use it. If you want to use it, have fun. Clients and technical debt? I don't know. People owe me money? Is that what you're asking? I don't understand the question. So I guess I don't have any experience with it because I don't understand the question. Let's see. Yeah, it gives me a headache to think about the details of IPv6. We'll say that too. It's just been around for a long time and it doesn't, I have no clients. I have nothing that ever needs to use it. And we've actually solved problems by simply turning it off. Oh, FreeNAS question. There we go. If the VDEVs depend on the safety of all the VDEVs in a pool, why can't new pools be used? You can expand VDEVs. So if you have 2 VDEVs and you want to add a third to that pool, that you can do that. That's a valid use case. So I've covered that in a video called Expanding VDEVs and Unbalanced VDEVs. That's another topic kind of related to it. Oh, technical debt is where businesses will not upgrade to new equipment, which stacks up over time. Yeah, that's manufacturing in a nutshell. So yes, how do you deal with it? I don't know. If you can't win them, then just keep servicing it, and eventually they keep paying you until they decide it's time to upgrade. There's not really. We have a couple of these manufacturing clients that are still running Windows 7 machines. I'm going to say they at least have 1 or 2 Windows XP machines floating around. They call, we charge them our rates, we fix things for them. They call, we charge them our rates, we fix things. They spend a lot of money fixing old crap. Whatever. We bill them. That's my solution for it. I mean, I can't tell I can. I tell them. I can't make them, I should say, do something. You know, they don't. I don't know. That's the way it happens sometimes. Hey, glad to hear that you have a good home lab based on that. Charge them more money. Well, we do. Frequently, those companies with older stuff, we tell them they're going to end up paying more to service that old equipment. That's generally true. They're never, ever under contract because that's also, we won't even put them under contract at all, like a MSP agreement if they are running Windows 7 because we can't. And so they end up paying our non-managed rate. And yeah, so we bill them. And those rates, by the way, I'll comment on this because people have asked this question from time to time, and I'll pull it up right now. I apparently have upset a couple people, but that's okay. That happens. Our rate is $200 an hour. When it is posted right there, that is the unmanaged rate. And I did raise in September my rate to $300 an hour for people who want to do consulting, just being upfront. That seems to have angered people. And you know, someone contacts us, they wanted to give me $50 to fix his VPN. And I'm like, no. You know, I guess I can't blame them for trying, but that has angered some people. But that's the same rates that we hit these people who are non-contract. I mean, this is what we charge. This is what my network people here are good at doing, all this network engineering. That is the rates we charge for things. And we are very upfront about all that. We don't hide any of it. I just like to be part of the whole transparency thing is being upfront about what we cost and how we charge for things. And I had to raise my rates because just too many people would only talk to me. And if you are going to exclusively talk to me and not any one of my technicians, then sometimes that requires me to raise rates to kind of, I only have so many hours in a day. And trading hours for dollars is, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. Yeah, that one company with the biggest technical debt does just spend a lot with us. What hair conditioner? None. I don't use any hair conditioner. I'll even answer that question. I am lazy. That's why my hair's in a ponytail. I wash it, it goes in a ponytail, it comes out of ponytail later. That's it. Yeah, there's always large companies using lots of old crap. That's just common. That's all the time. There's always a bunch of old stuff. They're always shocked. Many of these big companies don't have good handles on their inventory. They didn't put good controls in place, which means they don't even know how many Windows 7 machines they have. They probably know they have some, but that's the most honest answer they can give. It just takes time. Especially when companies were cobbled together with acquisitions and mergers, this only compounds the problem. Because my friends who have worked in corporate, one of them was just telling me, he goes, it seems like every week my company buys another company. And then we just inherit all the stuff that we just we didn't have an inventory. They bought the company because they wanted the clients. And by the way, deal with all here's another 300 endpoints of randomness. I don't know. Throw our tools on it, manage it. That was my friend's job sometimes. He's just like, what is it? I don't know. Do you have a list? Well, we got some IP addresses. Just integrate them into our stack. So that's, and before you can even get that done, they go buy another company. So when they go buy another company, you're not even finished merging the first one, and then the next one is on your plate again. So, yeah. What do you think about pfSense on I don't know. I don't have, what I would tell people to do who try to guess with processors and things like that, we just, how do you remote manage XP machines? We don't remote manage them. We tell them to go away. But as far as if you want to know what specs to use, look at the processor scores of what Netgate hardware comes with and make a comparison to the speed of the processor you want to use to try to gauge roughly where that VPN speed will be. I do not have some exhaustive list of how OpenVPN works on every processor. It's really not much of a benchmark score that people have. Terry Johnson, thanks for the compliment, and I'm happy you enjoy all the content here. That is wonderful. Yeah, there's no remote managing those old machines, that's for sure. Most complicated client that aggravated me? Yeah, they still haven't paid yet. When that company pays, I will be ranting about it. That's only happened once in 17 or 18. I've been in business 2003, so that's 17 years in business. So 17 years later, I've only got one client that really was aggravating. Now, we have plenty of puzzles, lots of puzzles. We solved a puzzle yesterday. We had a company that, and I mentioned this before, now we have the whole story, but it still is just a silliness thing. Let me think of how to phrase this. We manage the client's workstations and servers. Manage client, no problem. They're happy with us. As far as we know, no, they're not complaining. They pay their bill. Then the server goes offline. We call them. They don't answer. Call them again. They don't answer. We're like, well, email them. So their server's offline. They're not calling. That seems rather strange. A little bit of time goes by, and we take a look and realize the computers are connected to a new server that we can't see, and the old server's offline. So that only raises more questions. So we leave more messages for them, and they said, yeah, we moved the server, we'll call you back. Okay. We just kind of looked there, and they also took our firewall offline that we have the VPN. So we can't see the VPN anymore, we can't see them, but we have remote access to the machines. It took another month for them to return our phone calls. And what they did was they were behind. 30 days had come up and it was time for their bill to be due. So they paid their bill and wanted us to come out there because they made a mess. They swapped the server themselves, just didn't call us, didn't talk to us for 30 days, swapped the server, had a bunch of problems, then paid us to come out there and fix all the stuff like that. But they never even thought to call us ahead of time. Those are just weird things that people do sometimes that, man, scratching my head, but they prepaid us for even our time to come out there and sort it all out. So they're happy again, and we sorted it out for them, and we got our tools loaded on the new server, so everything's back to normal again. It's just weird they took it upon themselves to swap a server. That's what they wanted to do, I guess. So I can't even say, I don't know if it's aggravating or what. It's just like, I scratch my head more than anything else. And I'm like, I don't know why you did this and why you didn't call us or anything. Like, they asked for a quote 4 months ahead of time and then decided to just go a different route, which was building it themselves. So, and they got the server set up. They actually had it working. They had it joined to the domain. They did a lot of it right. So the problems they were having were some other problems, and we sorted them out for them. I don't know. There's a lot of weird things that happen. So, how many ARP attacks? Very, very few. You know, there's a lot of people that talk about all these attacks on networks, and a lot of them are more related to having an inside actor on your network. I mean, that probably happens more on the enterprise side, very infrequently on the small business side. And technically, they saved some money doing it themselves, so we'll give them that. It didn't take too many hours for us to fix it, so it's a gamble for sure. They're actually pretty tech savvy. So Mark D. Pinto, thank you for the donation, and thank you. Mark says, thanks for all the videos. Have some Google opinion reward money. Awesome. That's neat. Okay, so I get it. You've been doing the Google opinion thing, so now you have the Google opinion reward money. Yeah, smash that like button. That would be great. Biker Chris, just wanted to say have a beer on me, although you've caused me significant expense. Yeah, that I've heard a few people say that they seen the videos, they found all the things they wanted, and now they spent a lot of money, so now they blame me, and that's a fair assessment. But thank you for the donation, Biker Chris. Much appreciated. And smash that like button. Anyone else, if I didn't say that enough. That really does help videos quite a bit in their popularity. You can still exclude fire. Okay. Still talking about IPv6. Yeah. Nothing new on the hot sauces. So what new hot sauces have I been trying? Not much new. I had to take a break because I think I had some heartburn for a week, and I decided to not have any really, really hot stuff for a little while. So all I did was not eat any hot stuff for maybe a week or two, and then I went back to it. So nothing really changed there. How do you remotely monitor many pfSense firewalls? Zabbix works. I've mentioned it before. What new bike did I have? Are we down to the point where I just talk about Errata and motorcycles? Is that what people want to know? Does your family pay you to fix their stuff? No family, so I don't know. I have some second cousins and distant relatives. They all pay. I give them a 15% discount for my relatives. I used to when we did retail, but we don't do retail anymore, so it's kind of like no one asked me, which is fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. People not asking me, so. No, Ubiquiti does not offer anything like Cisco Packet Tracer that I know of. Plain water usually is what I'm drinking. Today, I'm actually drinking tea. It's a little chilly out. So people want to know about the motorcycle. Fair enough. I've rambled on enough, and I'm getting towards the end of this, and I want to go ride my motorcycle, so if I start talking about it... This is the new motorcycle that I just picked up the other day. So I'm going to be selling my Ninjas. I don't need it anymore. And the first thing I did is get the motorcycle and drove it through the mud. And then I dropped it in the mud. And it turns out that bike weighs a lot more than I expected. I knew it was heavy. And now it's heavy and muddy. And I fell in a mud puddle. I won't lie. And it was fun, though. That was me before I fell in the mud. I was pretty happy. But after I fell in the mud, I was still happy because I picked the bike up. If I wouldn't picked it up, I'd still be there trying to pick it up. So that is for those of you that aren't familiar with it, that is a Yamaha Super Tenere, which is a 1200cc motorcycle on off-road 1200. I really wanted something that was, I'm planning to do some road trips on it. So yes, yeah, it's definitely, it's a lot of bike. And so right away, the first thing I said, I had to take it out in the woods and just learn how much of a bike. That's a 2012, so I think that makes it a first gen. Was it 2014? Is that when the second gen ones come? What do you do for web filtering? Untangle I do for web filtering. Or I use, well, Untangle, but we also use the SolarWinds integrated web filtering. Mostly we use the SolarWinds for our clients, but the other option is Untangle. I'm doing an updated Untangle video. That is coming. Yeah, keep the rubber side down. Yes. That is, that definitely my goal is always keep the rubber side down. Thumbs up if you can. That would be appreciated. So, Sacramento to Austin, Texas for MotoGP. Fun times. Yeah, I don't want to fall that thing in a ditch. It would not be easy to get out of a ditch, that's for sure. You see, in the transportation industry, it was always keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. That's what they used to say. I used to be, my previous IT career when I worked in corporate was for a big trucking company. Oh, man, let's see. What else do we have before I wind this down? Awesome that I have 300 of you here. Have you visited dark web? Ooh, sure. Whenever I open up Tor. 5 days, 2,500 miles. That I could do. I've done the most I've done in a 24-hour period, I think, is 1,100 miles. That's part of the Iron Butt. Basically, you just ride nonstop for 24 hours at 70 mile an hour or something like that. So it's just crazy. I eventually passed out on a picnic table. I like endurance riding. That's one of the reasons I bought the bike again. If I get on a bike, I want to go, and I put a lot of miles on them. So, I don't know what more rules I need to do on pfSense and VLANs. So, I'm not sure. I've done, like, multiple videos on VLANs, and it's the same. VLANs are separate network. It's the same thing. It's a separate network, whether it's logical or a VLAN. So whether you're dividing networks into logical ports or subnetting or subdividing them by VLAN, the rules are the same. I've got like 2 long, in-depth videos about it. So yes. What is there to do in a dark net? Nothing good. Stay off it. If you're asking that question, just stay off it. What other questions do we have? Why can't Avaya and Cisco networks be merged? I don't know. I guess I don't know what you're trying to do. As far as I know, as long as their networks are standards compliant, you can mix and match hardware. We mix and match stuff all the time. Model of the ThinkPad is L480. I have a review of the L480 on my channel. So if you go to my channel, go to search and go to L480, you'll find a review of this particular laptop. Can you tag the physical ports on the SG1100 and 2100 to have 3 routers connected for failover? Yeah, you can convert on the 3100 these to the 4-port switch to be logical ports. There's a way to do it. you can do it on this too. There's already 3 ports on this one. So you could take the WAN and opt to make opt WAN 2, and away you go. But if you're someone who needs failover at higher end, probably you want to buy one of their higher end models. So, which means less work on configuring the switches and things like that. I don't know if there's any record number of firewalls I've had to troubleshoot through. I mean, just all kinds of randomness, not really record numbers. Proxmox over vSphere. I would say Proxmox over vSphere and XCP NG over Proxmox. But have you ever been recruited to fix an issue way over my head? Kind of. I mean, there's people who do things like book me for one reason, but then ask me a question that I have no idea what they're talking about. That has happened, and I'm just like, you booked me based on this. I'm not sure. And they're like, well, I thought I'd ask these questions. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't, maybe he's watching this right now. I had an interesting booking where the person just really wants this perfect setup that doesn't exist. So they booked me to consult, and they just didn't like any of the answers I gave them. They want this system that does all the things exactly how they want with no limitations. And every time I talked about limitations, they seemed to be aggravated. Well, I thought you would solve these. I'm like, I can't rewrite software to work the way you think it should work. I can consult you with the best methodology to set this up, but that's not indicative of making it work because, well, someone has to write that software, and I'm not the writer of this software. And it was the way hypervisors did things. They were just like, eh. So, let's see. So not usually. Are you a network architect? Sure. I'll put that stamp on me. Most awkward client? Oh, I don't know. Too many to tell. There's always stuff like I don't mind. New Synology, can you just pop one with your data? No. Yeah, software's limitation is your budget and imagination, honestly. If you got the budget, someone will code it. Usually the budget runs out. The imagination is definitely like wild with some people, but the budget isn't as wild as their imagination. I mean, people will code for anything, so... Walked out on a potential client? Oh, definitely. I told one person who was flinging things off their desk when they were ready to grow up, just let me know. There's definitely been times if I find no value, I just leave. So I've had a whole lot of random experiences like that. Perfect use case for the SG2100. I would say really small businesses, single internet connection. It's stupid easy to configure for that. We have a lot of these small offices with single internet connection that this would probably be ideal for. We've even used some of these. I mean, you talk about, let's say, a hair salon. We have a few hair salons, more than one, and that just use basic routing. They don't need much. And some of them we just threw the UniFi in because they don't do anything but basic routing. They don't need anything but the internet to work to ring up a couple things. So how do you check the integrity of backup and restores? You test them. You do some random testing, and you also get software. We use the SolarWinds backup software, and it does integrity checks as well. It's cold out, I think, at my place. It is 65 degrees, and we're in Detroit. Well, just south of Detroit. 65, it's not raining. So at least it's not raining. Oh, hey, Chris was watching. He just messaged me. So I'm kind of watching Chris, so hey. I'll leave it at Chris. He can decide if he wants to announce himself here. What else do we got? Okay, no one else messaged me. Just a bunch of people tagging me and stuff. Detroit. I was born in this general area. Is it possible to have multiple interfaces for WAN? Yes. I've even done WAN failovers on pfSense, so yes. Very, very few clients have fiber internet. Let's see. How do you monitor Synology NAS? They have the Synology software to monitor it, but it's okay. Being in Detroit as a customer pulled a gun. No. We don't do politics on here. What else do we have? Anything else? Oh, trying to put together a home lab with HP old servers, Dell R710, MikroTik, and I'm assuming you mean MikroTik, not Microtech. Basic home lab to play with VMs? Sure. The best home lab is the stuff you have access to. I mean, we all want faster, better hardware, but when it comes to home lab, sometimes you don't have the budget for it, and it's all about where learning more than it is about having the fastest hardware. Fastest hardware is awesome. Learning is an important aspect, and often where people start with their home lab. And that's one of the reasons I like doing a lot of these videos, is to get people more into technology. There is a shortage of people in technology, believe it or not. I believe by producing more videos and getting more people enthusiastic about it, it brings more people into things like that. So, you think of vehicle manufacturers. Yes, you can definitely think of vehicle manufacturers here. Most of Detroit is supported by, we call the big three, which is now the big two, GM and Ford. So it used to be GM, Ford, and Chrysler. They are all based out of here. And so we have a deep-rooted automotive history. Currently, our economy is still based heavily on automotives and Quicken Loans. If you've heard of them, they're a big company worth billions of dollars here in Detroit as well. So they're a big part of our economy, is the income and economy of Detroit right now. Oh, yes. Clients with complete data failure with not recovered, I let them have the bad news. You ask them if they're sitting down, if you're going to call them. I prefer to do the bad news in person occasionally. You say, are you sitting down? Are you ready for this conversation? It's, yes. There's almost, my Willie has messaged me and said there's almost a million worker shortage in tech in the U.S. That sounds about right. I would actually say that's probably reasonable. That many? Yes. Not enough. Not enough for sure. Let's see here. What else do we have? Someone said, do I have a girlfriend? I'm married. I'm old and married. My wife's been on here a few times. Tour of your lab. I have a tour of the lab. I'm actually working on a new video for setting up your home lab. And I'm going to call it a home lab, but this is essentially what this is over here, where we do all the testing. So, do we have fintech clients? Yeah, we have some in that. Yeah, maybe my wife will join me for another stream. "96 likes and 1 don't." That's common. There's always someone disliking all the time. That's just how it works. Tiered storage? Why not? If you want to set up tiered storage, sure. Those aren't really questions, by the way. When you say tiered storage, I'm going to say yes. I don't know what question you're asking. What's a good alternative when VPN kills bandwidth? A faster VPN. If you have to move data across the VPN. Now, if the data is encrypted, some software encrypts the data, therefore it can be moved across the public internet. Be very careful. I mean, VPN is ideal. That adds an extra layer. But if you need to move data between sites, sometimes VPN is the solution. And if the VPN is too slow, get a faster system. That's, yeah, it's just like, there's not an easy answer for some things. It's just, there's the hard answer. You need a faster system. this comes up a lot, especially since so many people in 2020 started working remotely. The VPN was constantly a challenge for a lot of people. So the solution isn't, they're like, what should we do? I'm like, well, I did a video on zero tier because that was one solution that worked for some people, was just doing things over zero tier was faster for them. And maybe that's a solution you can try. Maybe zero tier, it will scratch that itch. But for other people, the answer is simple. They just needed to buy a faster version of what they had to deal with the bandwidth of it. So yeah, VPN speed, TNSR on the same hardware would be faster. So I don't have an answer for what's a reasonable VPN speed. I have a slower VPN speed. I am absolutely not bothered by it because nothing I need to do requires that much speed. People probably ask why we don't have a faster connection here. Why? I mean, I could spend money. I have the money to spend on it. I feel as though that money would be better spent somewhere else because my 250 meg connection. Gig connections are available. And you're probably going, Tom, if you have a gig connection available, why aren't you using it? And I'd say, why do I need it? Nothing I download is bothering me. I'm not being inconvenienced. It's not costing me extra money. Like, time is money. So I would look at it as, would I be able to get something done faster, billing done faster, some process faster that would save me time to justify the extra cost? That's how you make that decision. FreeNAS tiered storage. Go for it. Never set up MinShift, and I don't use vSphere. So, I mean, I know how to use vSphere, but it's not part of my daily usage. Old school computer stuff. No, I am not a hoarder or a collector of old things. I mostly get rid of them all. Symmetric fiber is definitely great for VPN. Once again, comes down to what works for you. Yeah, $90 a month, no data cap for gigabit. That's awesome. Prices vary a lot on the internet. Where you live, what country you live in. So not just where you live here in the U.S., but if you live outside of the U.S., some people have cheaper, some people pay more. It varies. We actually pay less here in Michigan because we have predatory pricing from companies like Comcast who charge based on the competition. So in areas that Comcast has no competition, they charge more, and competition is heavy like it is here in Michigan because there's multiple providers. Comcast charges less. So it's going to vary. So you get robbed based on the luck of the draw, where you were born, where you've chose to live, where you've domiciled yourself. And that's going to be something I think is going to affect future generations. Cities will be picked, especially as we have a more remote workforce. Where you live will be dictated partially by the availability of high-speed, affordable internet. Well, slowly turning into a South Park episode. If you want to run cat cable at home, Cat 6 is fine for home. If you really wanted to blow the extra money on Cat 6, why not? Most home stuff is moving more towards wireless and less towards wired. I've seen people run around putting a lot of wire in their house and realize all the stuff they keep getting that's IoT is almost always wireless. So I started out on a TRS 80. So yeah, I'm at least that old. My first computer I started messing around with. I don't have it anymore either. Once again, not a collector of old things. While I do love people like the 8-Bit guy, his YouTube channel is great. I like watching and learning about the old technology and the in-depth reviews he has of it, but I don't have a desire to collect it and physically possess all of it. I'm not really that person. I just don't do that. I mean, wire your gaming system. Yes, 8-Bit guy is awesome. So, no recommendations on Wi-Fi 6. Matter of fact, I only have 2.4 at my house. When I finish my new house, moving in, we will put actual 5 gigahertz in, but I don't care enough about Wi-Fi 6. If it makes you happy, get it. I don't really have to use it. 0 requests for Cat 8. Well, not 0. Home users love to ask about it. Businesses, no, especially because they usually know the price. So companies that are contracting us for cabling work know better than to ask for that stuff. What else do we have? What gear is going in the new case? New casa, new home. I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get to it. I'm not planning that far ahead. Because as long as I just basically have internet. Here, you're looking at my work computer from home. I mostly use this, and then I have a gaming system, which I don't consider work. So there's not a lot of connectivity there. I like, what do you call it? I have one of the Chromecast ones. We watch a lot of Chromecast. The Chromecast Ultra, I had to think of the name of it, the Ultra one, which does have a network cable. So even that's wired in, so I don't have any issues. IT Pro TV is down. Oh no, the internet's broken, or IT Pro TV is broken. That's tragically bad. What else do we have here? Not much else, because I want to go ride my motorcycle now. It's not raining, so it seems like a good idea to go ride that. Is your Chromecast an IoT? No. I tell people this all the time, because between Chromecast and what's that other one that people seem to like a lot? I like the Chromecast, but I know other people like the radio. It begins with an S. Someone will remember it. They always want to put those on separate networks and then have their phone talk to it. That's a terrible idea. If you put your Chromecast on a separate network, then your phone, specifically Chromecast with the phone, and Sonos, there we go. I was so close. I knew it began with an S. I don't understand people who do that, because they just create headaches for themselves. So for me, it's just way easier to put the phone in a Chromecast. The phone was designed to be in hostile environments and technically is an IoT device as far as I'm concerned. Therefore, it should be on the same network as your Chromecast. If you want your computer to be on a separate network because you use it for business, that's valid. My computer never needs to talk to my Chromecast. So that's fine. It's the people who go, well, I want my computer to talk to all the Chromecasts. Well, yes, I know it was working with a VI. I did a video on it. And no, it doesn't work now all the time. Chromecast changed protocols. It's a headache. So, users yell, IT's down. Yeah, I know, they do. I didn't check. I'm just going by what somebody said. And thank you for the $2 donation so you could yell it. I figured if you gave me $2, I'll say something like that. I won't say anything for $2, but I'll say quite a few things for $2. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's just turn the internet off for a little while. I'm okay with that too sometimes. UDM Pro and NordVPN, I doubt that would work at all. So the UDM, the whole USG line, which I consider the UDM essentially one of them, the UniFi routers are just lacking in features. I don't know how to make that any more clear. I keep repeating it. Almost every live stream, I get a lot of messages in the forum of people trying to do advanced things that the UDMs and the whole USG lineup fell on. And now people are messaging me or posting, I think in the forums and tagging me on Twitter, I can't wait for the new XYZ thing to come out from UniFi with the new routers. I'm like, why? Unless they're going to do a big revamp to the UniFi controller software that runs them and actually put features in them, I don't care how fast the hardware is. If it doesn't have features, then it falls flat again. Because we've had to take out more UniFis than we've put in when it comes to routers, because people call us, they're stuck trying to do something advanced, so they contact us for help to redo their network to get the thing they hope would work, and they find out it won't work. And I'm a big fan of UniFi in terms of their switches and their access points. I think the doorbell is pretty cool, but their firewall equipment just falls flat. It just, every time someone says, hey, I want to get this working, doesn't work. Crap. Can I say crap? Only if someone gives me $2 will I say crap. Feature lacking. Yes. I mean, there's all kinds of fun, hacky things you can do if you're willing to do it on the command line and start redoing stuff. I don't really call that a feature. It's also a feature that probably won't survive an update. So, hey, for $5, I'll yell crap. Thank you for the $5 donation, and there's some crap. Let's see. Let's see. You should watch a new documentary called The Social Dilemma. Maybe. Who has the longest hair? I think my wife does right now. Comcast equals crap. Yep, that I'll say for free. Yeah, CLI changes get wiped when the controller wipes it. Yeah, I think that happens both with updates and reprovisions. So, I mean, maybe, and I'm sure there's somebody who's got, I think someone had some write-up and asked me if and I'm not doing a video on it. It was about how to reprogram one of the UniFi devices to reflash it to have different software on it so you can reuse the hardware. And I'm like, at some point, just buy different hardware. But I mean, it's a fun exercise in hacking. It's not likely that I'll do a video on it. Backblaze. I should review Backblaze. I like it. We've been using Backblaze for a few years. I really think Backblaze has a solid product. Yeah, if you're pulling 30 megs on my stream, that would be weird. So, what else do we have here? Getting down to the end. Simplifying your network. 8 VLANs down to 3. I need making simpler for my sanity. Yes. Yeah, that's the other challenge. Some of them have unusual processors in them, so it's not as easy to do some of the other things. No, Wasabi is not as good as we thought. One, the way you build rules on Wasabi to control the bucket rules is more complex than it is on Backblaze. Two, yeah, they don't have egress fees. They have transactional fees that seem to add up more when we were doing some of the testing. I don't know, between the rule sets, and as we looked at it a while ago, I was pretty much not impressed with Wasabi. I didn't like them as much as I ended up liking Backblaze. But I don't think Wasabi's terrible or anything like that. And it's not an insurmountable task to learn how they do the rules. But I don't think they were substantially cheaper. Despite not having the egress fees, they had higher transactional fees, I believe, than Backblaze. So it made the bill, at least from our testing, the transaction fees made it higher than the transactions on Backblaze. And we were using something that used S3 compatible compared to the way B2 bucket. So we were using a B2 bucket, not an emulation. So, but I didn't document it as a video, so I never did a video on it. I didn't document it in detail. Matter of fact, I didn't do anything. My staff evaluated it when we were setting up backups, and we ended up sticking with. When we were all done, we stuck with the Backblaze. Backblaze has the HDD reports, and I feel by spending my hard-earned dollars with Backblaze, I'm contributing to reports that I really, really enjoy. So that hopefully that helps. Recommendation for cameras. I've talked about some of them before on the channel. I don't remember which ones I talked about. The models are in there. If you search for cameras and Synology, I talk about them on this channel already. But anyways, hopefully, welcome Jack Thomas. You joined at the wrong time though, because I'm getting ready to wind this down. Is there any more questions for the good of the class? Because two things. Oh, am I a car guy? What's parked in my garage? A Tesla. That's it. I used to be more of a, I had more cars in the past. I don't have many cars now. I just have a Tesla now. What kind of motorcycle do I have? We'll talk about that again, because if I stare at it, I'll end the stream sooner. Ooh. I want to be on the motorcycle now. It's at least this nice out. It's overcast, but not raining, which is good biking weather. I'm going to go play in the dirt with this. This is a Yamaha Tenere 1200, Super Tenere, I think is what they call it. So that's what I'm currently riding. I have another bike I got to go put for sale, which is an older Kawasaki Ninja. Hopefully that helps. Yes, it's calling me. Oh, Fortinet, type Fortinet into my YouTube channel, and good luck. I don't like Fortinet. Yes, I've used them. Yes, I hate them. They have really poor security practices over at Fortinet. Egregiously poor. Anyways, I have an entire video where I don't just say that, I put all the CVEs and specifically what those CVEs were, which is just a whole lot of stupid. So Palo Alto's okay. They make some pretty decent stuff. I'm not an expert on Palo Alto, but Fortinet, yeah, they're egregious, poor coding practices. Less than thrilled. I've also had a headache dealing with them and their support occasionally, but whatever. Some people like them. We've serviced them. We've supported them. We've even tied pfSense to them. So, I mean, it's not like I have no experience with them, but yeah. UDM Pro or pfSense? I'm partial to pfSense. All right, and thanks. I'll just leave it with that. pfSense, not OpenSense. That'll make someone mad because they'll go and type a long message of how they think it's superior or something. All right, thanks.